Welcome to U of A Votes 2011.
As Students' Union elections approach, the Gateway is here to help you cast an informed vote. So my name is Alex Eldridge.
And I'm Sam Yaklik, and we'll be your moderators for the following discussion. Join us is candidate Farid Iskandar for Vice President External.
Before I talk about my personal platform, let me begin by explaining what the position entails. The Vice President External is responsible for representing students' needs on the municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government. He or she does that by working closely with the advocacy department of the SU, as well as two other lobby groups or advocacy groups that we're a part of. My first goal, if elected, is to have introduce on-campus polling stations for multiple constituencies. What that means is that students who are originally residents of constituencies or ridings that are outside of Edmonton could come on campus and vote for any race that they want to. My second goal is to regulate mandatory non-instructional fees. So an example of mandatory non-instructional fees is the cost fee or health and dental plans or recreation or transportation. Right now, the definition of mandatory non-instructional fees is fairly vague and could be used to use it as tuitions, and that shouldn't be the case. Tuition is for everything that is essential for your scholastic degree. Mandatory non-instructional fees for everything else. I would like to make that definition clear and put restrictions on it so that mandatory non-instructional fee do not limit anyone from getting a post-secondary education. My third goal is to remove the 10% and 15% price premiums from textbook. If you ever look at the back of a book and a novel and found the Canadian price significantly higher than the US price, it is because of something called book importation regulation. It is something unique to Canada and it's nowhere else in the world. And I think removing it will make textbook prices significantly reduced.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned lobbying on regulations surrounding non-instructional mandatory fees. How exactly do you intend to make those regulated, and what steps will you take to do that?
Well, initially, CAUSE with Beverly and with Aiden have worked closely on regulating mandatory non-instructional fees. This conversation was reaching some of its goals until we lost our minister, Mr. Doug Horner, and we have a new minister now, Mr. Greg Weddick. So I think we should still keep talking about it. We were close on to reaching our goals, but unfortunately with the changes in the government, some of these are not going to happen this year. So I think we should still work with the new minister right now for the next 8 months, and whenever we have a new minister, we should still keep going that conversation. I think we're close.
Thank you. So you're talking about kind of increasing student involvement in elections. And this past year, we've seen a lot of debates and just forums organized with candidates in sub for students to hear. And those haven't been very well attended. So how would you increase student attendance at those types of events?
I think increasing student attendance will come eventually the more we have some of these forums. So if we keep on doing the same thing, maybe even have more forums where there are more debates, and maybe the debates will get more exciting, and then with time students will be like, oh, I heard that someone said something crazy or something like that, so they'll start coming to those debates. So I think just because it hasn't been successful right now is not an indicator that it will remain unsuccessful. I think giving it some time will make it successful eventually.
Lately, it's been discussed among student loans and if it should be a student loans or the government should move more towards tax credits. What's your thought on that provincially?
I think in the last budget, grants were reduced and student loans were increased. While I don't like that, I still think student loans are important, but I think the system is extremely complicated, and I think it should be made more simpler for students to access it. So I'm in favor of student loans right now.
Recently with the budget announcement, they the government announced that they're going to be maintaining the 0% increase to base operating grants, as well as freezing the Access to the Future Fund, which is a donation doubling program. Yep. Kind of what's your reaction to that, and how do you think that's going to affect the university?
Yeah, good question. I'm not too happy, but I'm not too sad either. I think freezing it is a lot better than lowering it. The removal of the Access to the Future Fund is a problem, but there wasn't enough funds being put into it, so it wasn't really being successful. So it is a shame, but it's not the worst thing that could happen. Hopefully it will go better from now on.